Hello, hello, and welcome once again. J76NY here, and we are continuing on with our playthrough on Suzerain as King Aromas Toras in the Kingdom of Rizia. We have a few things we have to take care of. We got to read the news first. We'll do that. Crack down on illegal substances to cleanse the nation. We did that in the last episode. A wave of anti-narcotics operations are ongoing throughout the country. We also met with our Royal Council about matters of security, both internal and external. We do have a lot of options available to us in terms of raising troops now, from the looks of it. I'm going to get to the foreign policy briefing before I make any decisions on the military. What this news article is, in order to safeguard Rizia's population from our illegal narcotics and other harmful substances, King announced a crackdown on drug trafficking and strengthening of border control. All over the country, funds will be awarded to special units of the police department tasked with these monumental endeavors, with the focus of operations lying in the cities most hurt by rampant drug use, Argnos, Celebes, and jails. I think one of you guys told me I should legalize all that, but I'd have to go back and look at the comments. I think I'm kind of going against the advice I got, which sometimes I do, sometimes I follow the advice. It's all dependent on how I want this to play out here. I am going to build the dam that you recommended. Just got to get the cash for it. So let's take a look here at what we have. All right, the Nelvisar oil field closure. A significant chapter in Rizia's oil history is drawing to a close. The Nelvisar oil field at Fulse Dator, an instrumental asset since its discovery in 1895, faces imminent shutdown. Despite the depletion of its once abundant reserves, the field has continually played a role in meeting Rizia's oil demand. Under the unwavering management of Rizian Oil and Gas, the field has stood the test of time, but nature's limits are becoming evident. Where one door closes, another one opens, and unfortunate times. These are my choices. Well, I am going to build that dam, the hydroelectric dam, so we'll go with that. Nelvisar oil field depleted. I got more royal decrees. Non-Ruhist religious tax. -4 on the authority, +2 on the budget. That would give me enough to build the dam. But it would piss off Wayland and Rumberg. Oh, available here. Let's see, what else do we have? Residence and work permit for migrants. New framework for granting residence and work permits to migrants has been established, designating... Nope, we're not doing that. Buy first batch of military equipment from international market. Wow. Holy shit. We're not buying any military equipment. I'm just going to get through... we can sell military equipment, though. I'm just clicking through all these pretty quick here. What would we get if we sell military equipment? The decree enables the export of surplus defense assets, including infantry weapons and other core equipment. I'm going to hold off and see what we have for ourselves first. Submarines. We could sell our crappy-ass submarines on the international market. Monkeys Port and Naval Shipyard expansion. -1 on authority, -3 on budget, -2 turn construction, -1 energy, +1 marine on completion, military ship and submarine on completion. Improved Pales logistic hub in Murmy. Establish the Romus Toras Military Academy. Oh. We could just name everything after us. A university, a hospital, military academy. But this is, a heavy industrial park. The decisive move to fortify industrial prowess, the government sanctions the development of the Izza Heavy Industrial Park within the city-state of Izza. No, but this is the hydroelectric dam. -2 authority, +3 energy per turn on completion, 4 turns to complete. -5 on the budget. We only have 4 right now. One thing I could do to get that boost here is... where is it? We could implement some taxes. It would wipe out my authority. Base income tax. +1 on budget per turn. Enact inheritance tax. Nobody wants that because they'd all get hit by it. Where the hell is the, small initial global energy purchase. Oh, that's a purchase. I don't want to do that. We could sell it. Large. That would give us +3 on the budget. And it'd even out with the energy if we built the dam. Small initial global energy. +1. God damn it. Energy sale. This would be our second one. So -2 on the energy, -1 on the budget. I'll think about this, and at the end of the turn, or at the end of the episode here, I'll make my decision on that. Oil workers in Elvisar organized a commemoration for the closing field, marked with a parade of workers through the town, and a large gala held in their honor. While some will keep their jobs for the foreseeable future as operations wind down, many are now unemployed and have to look elsewhere for employment. The economy, policies, military conscription. That's what we just did. Situations. There's that. Alright. Council meeting on foreign relations. We go. The day of my foreign policy council meeting has arrived, and it was a hot one. The fans in the Palace Resna provide little relief. I decide to take in some fresh air in the palace gardens. They don't have air conditioning. I know it's the 50s and all, but I mean, they did. Pavel had hired a new groundskeeper who faithfully maintained his father's arrangement. Before he was my butler, my friend had explained to me that the plants and flowers here were laid out geographically. Rican ferns in the east, Xenon lilies to the south, and Rumberg-style rose garden in the north. To the west was a labyrinth hedge maze made of laurels donated from the kingdom of Narberk. I spent a while wandering around, then returned to the middle of the garden where a series of stone sculptures were surrounded by Rizian palms and succulents. To my left, I saw Vina reading a book on a bench beneath a decorative stone arch. In the date palm grove to my right, I caught a glimpse of my mother. Let's see what Vina's doing here. made my way to the stone arch and sat down next to my daughter. Oh, hello, Father. Good to see you outside of the council chambers. Do you have any questions about the past few meetings? I bet you're wishing you never asked to come to my meetings, right? Sorry if Uncle Hugo made you feel uncomfortable the other day. He was kind of rude to her. That's okay, I know he means well. All of this council stuff is old hat for you, isn't it? You've even served with some of the same people before. Long time ago, frankly, they should have retired by now. It's different now that I'm the one in charge. Yes, it's easy enough. I'm the king. What I say goes. I was naive back then. Now I don't know whom I can trust. It's different now that I'm in charge. Can't imagine how it feels to hold all that power. What do you think of the House of Delegates? That's kind of a random question. Will you go talk to them? Of course I will. They're the best hope we have for giving Rizians an actual voice. I'll take their opinions into consideration, but I'm the one with the final say. The only reason I would do that is to find out the opposition's weakness. I might, but I don't want anything to do with your friend, Mr. Suzerain. I'll take their opinions into consideration, but when it's all said and done, it's my call. Any good monarch listens to the will of the people. Queen Liza always said that. That would be my grandmother, Liza the Great. Good monarch listens, a great monarch acts. And if the will of the public is for there to be no monarch at all, what then? Queen Liza wasn't a saint. She had wise words from a wise woman. We'll go with that one. By the time she was my age, she's already been queen for a year. Imagine. Clock chimed in the distance. It was time for the meeting. Lead the way, Your Highness. As Vina and I walked into the council chambers, we found the other counselors already there, deep in conversation. Usita, Azaro. Superpower suddenly taking an interest in this part of the continent. What's next? All of our children will have to learn Arcasian. Lorento Esquibble, he's my counselor of foreign affairs. She is my counselor of war and security. Elena Werner is the council of treasury. Here's my grand wiseman, Sal Ignatius. My uncle, Hugo Toras, he's my grand vizier. He's like my chief advisor, I guess, and that's my daughter. The decision wasn't made with any ill intent towards Rizia. There's a greater global force at work than what's happening in our corner of South Mercopa. What the superpowers decide affects us, Mr. Squibble. Their intent is of no importance. Silence! Oh. Here to catch me up? Guys, what are you talking about, guys? Three of them noticed me and fell silent. Excuse us, Your Majesty. We were just discussing the recent news concerning Lesbia's membership in the ATO. I agree with Mr. Squibble. I just walked in. How can I agree with him? There's nothing to worry about. I agree with Duchess Azaro. We should be very concerned. We don't know anything about the situation yet. We'll have to wait and see what happens next. That sounds kind of prudent. Or reasonable. Respectfully, Your Grace, there's nothing reasonable about allowing Arcasia and its puppets to spread instability across the globe. And what exactly are we going to do about it? What would you have us do, Duchess Azaro? Good question. We're on shaky ground enough with Lesbia as it is. Of course we should act sensibly, but we need to show the Republic and its new friends that Rizia can hold its own. Miss Werner, will this new alliance have economic consequences? What are our current relations with Lesbia? Does this development pose a threat to the Rizian monarchy? What are our security implications of this alliance, Duchess Azaro? Go on. We can definitely expect Arcasian military to increase their presence in Lesbia. Lesbia already houses Arcasian military personnel. Air and naval bases cannot be far behind. I can't say for certain that all the firepower will be directed against us in case of a conflict, but it does enhance the threat that Lesbia, and yes, potentially Pales, pose to our kingdom. What's our current relations with Lesbia? I would categorize them as neutral but frosty, Your Majesty. Queen Liza's diplomacy kept us on good terms with Lesbia for a time after their transition to democracy. But things were beginning to sour even before the Pales conflict. We still maintain embassies in each other's country, but I haven't met with their foreign minister since before the election of their new Prime Minister Alvarez. What about the economic consequences of this? Okay. Our most significant economic relationship with Lesbia is our partnership in the Meftium International Free Trade Zone, which is a globally significant economic cooperative established in 1916 in the Republic of Morella. It consists of gold mining facilities and refineries operated by corporations from Morella, Lesbia, Vogsland, and Rizia, as well as jointly owned Mardian Port. Having Arcasia behind them might well embolden Lesbia to push for a larger share in the ITZ, but they also have Vogsland and Morella to contend with. Lesbia is using Arcasia's backing to strengthen its economic ties with Pales. Could also have negative ramifications, especially when it comes to the new gas field. Does this pose a threat to our monarchy? Not an immediate one, Your Majesty, but we must be watchful. We have seen Arcasian-backed revolutions succeed in Rika and Xena, and we do suspect the Sazons were communicating with Arcasia prior to the 1926 uprising. Quinal's ATO membership was already cause for concern 5 years ago. With Lesbia in the alliance as well, Arcasia's influence is present to both our north and our south. There's a great potential for destabilization. On the other hand, Your Grace, Arcasia has friendly ties with at least one monarchy. You may recall that President Dwight Walker actually boasts Rumburgian heritage. Well, so do we, kinda. What do you think I should do, guys? Everyone began talking at once. In my view, Rizia should bolster our alliance with our fellow monarchies like Rumburg and the rest of the Guild of Royal Allies for commercial exchange. Building stronger bonds with them will not only enrich us, it will counterbalance ATO's democratic influence. That's not a bad idea. Rumburg is a powerhouse even in this DLC. This is true, but we can't rely on Grace to come up to our aid in conflict. For that, we will need to build up our military and defensive capabilities. I'd say it's more crucial to form new trade relations with our other neighbors. If Lesbia becomes even more of an economic juggernaut in our region, it'll upset the balance of power. Can we do everything? I doubt it. I don't think we should ignore the opportunity to thaw our relationship with Lesbia itself. I, for one, would rather handle them as a friend than a foe. What do you think, Vina? We certainly don't want tensions to rise with Lesbia at this point, do we? But we don't want ATO's influence to overwhelm us either. What about using cultural exchanges and other partnerships to spread Rizia's own influence beyond our borders? I like that. If we use the wrong approach, other countries might see it as provocation. I like that idea in theory, but it sounds expensive. Brilliant, Vina. Arcasia isn't the only nation capable of promoting itself through soft power. I like that. That's a good idea. I have an idea regarding this. I'll bring it up at the end of the meeting. Why not bring it up now? Before I forget. What do you think there, old Grand Wiseman Sale? Well, Your Majesty, the teachings of St. Ruhek compel us to exercise goodwill and compassion towards our neighbors. I am kind of a religious guy. On the other hand, we must be watchful that Lesbia does not use its new international clout to further the spread of the Dasnuris faith. I'm going to go with a decision. I think Hugh has the right idea. Aligning more closely with Rumberg and Grace will protect us from Arcasia's growing sphere of influence. Yes. Like Elena's suggestion, sealing new economic pacts with other Mercopan count. I like them all. Can I do them all? You all have good ideas. I will consider a combination of these approaches. Yeah. Make a decision by making no decision. I agree with Lucita that we cannot look weak in Lesbia and Arcasia's eyes. You're right, and it would behoove us to grow closer to Lesbia and ATO. I honestly like Hugo's idea out of all of these, and my daughters, but I'm gonna go with Hugo's idea. Indeed, it will. Mr. Esquibble, you had prepared an overview of our current geopolitical situation prior to this development. Would you care to proceed with that? Certainly. Walk to the chamber's back wall and pull down a map of southeastern Macopa. What shall we discuss first? What's going on in Swordland? Now that the colonel has decided to retire, you mean? Tarkin Soul. Yes. Oh. His successor is called Ewald Alfonso, and he's a stooge. I mean, from everything I've heard, he's Soul's exact opposite. That's good, right? Depends. He's already instituted some major changes. Think sweeping privatization and tax cuts. Soul is forced out of power, more women in prominent positions, although he has yet to pass the kind of liberatory reforms our beloved Liza did. Speaking of Liza, she's the one who first opened trade negotiations with Swordland, back when it was still a kingdom, but Soul's disdain for the monarchy kept us from continuing down that path. The Alfonso administration, meanwhile, has no such qualms about royalty. In fact, his new development minister, Gus Manger, has already had personal business dealings with Riza. Nice. Our friend Mr. Montoro of Rizian Royal Gold has been making overtures to the Swordish oligarchy, it seems. Birds of crassly ostentatious plumes flock together. Okay, birds of a feather. You could have just said that. Wouldn't have been so hard to pronounce. Tongue twisters. And I'm half asleep, so seem to get to the recording of this game when I'm at the end of my day and ready to go to bed, but it is what it is. Anyway, continuing on. I don't like your tone, Hugo. Rusty and the Swordish oligarchs are self-made men. I respect that. What does Swordland want from us? I'm not sure if I trust either Alfonso or his minister, but I'm open to proposals. Wealthy commoners making plans behind our back. It doesn't smell good. What does Swordland want from us? That hasn't been disclosed yet. The country already has abundant gas resources. They could be looking to shore up their central bank with gold in the wake of Alfonso's privatization spree. I'll contact you once Alfonso has agreed on a date for his visit. Let's talk about pals. I was just about to bring up the Grand Duke-y. Your father's unfortunate passing has given us a chance for a fresh start with Duke Reinhardt. Axel Reinhardt. Youngest scion of the Reinhardt family, who have ruled the Grand Duchy since the conclusion of the War of Rizian Succession. I heard he reached out to you some years ago. Perhaps that connection can be built upon. He knows I showed father his letter. Well, I did. You were under pressure. As a fellow royal, he'll understand. I myself advised your father to speak with the new Duke of Pales, to no avail, of course. Compared to his brother, Jolma, Axel Reinhardt seems far more amiable to a thaw between our countries. He wasn't even born when Rizia and Pales were fighting, and I suspect he is beginning to see the disadvantages of staying connected with Lesbia. Getting Lesbia out of our little corner of the world here, I think that should be a long-term goal of our foreign policy. Tell me more about the current relationship between Pales and Lesbia. Pales still has a Rizian-speaking population, right? How influential are they? Where's Volksland in all this? Doesn't Pales have any relationship with the Republic? Current relationship between Pales and Lesbia is heavily dependent on the Republic of Lesbia since the 1920s. Our northern neighbor has taken extensive advantage of the natural gas reserves off the southern Pelasian coast. Lesbia has also relocated a number of its major corporations to Pales in exchange for extremely generous tax breaks. In addition to the resulting income, Pales has access to Lesbian technology and military equipment, which at the moment surpasses ours. Pales still has a Rizian-speaking population, right? There are a minority, but a vocal one. They believe in the preservation of the Rizian language, but they still consider themselves Pelasian at heart. Duke Jolma's proposed Rizian ban was a bridge too far for them. They seem to heavily favor his brother. Where's Volksland in all this? Not a friendly relationship with Pales. Most Volgish Pelasians were and still are vehemently against their ancestral home turn to socialism. In turn, the Republic of Volksland has had nothing to do with its former colony since the Reinhardt's decision to seek protection from Lesbia. Back in the 20s, there were a few attempts at marshaling support for Volkslandian socialist revolution in the Grand Duchy. None bore fruit. I'm beginning to get a good grasp of the situation. Are you leaning towards any particular diplomatic strategy regarding Pales, Your Majesty? Alright. My previous opinion stands. I don't think we should have anything to do with them. I'd rather not have anything to do with them. But in the face of Lesbia's ATO membership, we should attempt diplomacy. That's not a bad idea. A Volkslandian socialist revolution, you say? Is it too late to start one over there now? I wonder if we could do that. Type of espionage, incite a revolution. I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm just kind of curious if I could do that. We should play on the sympathies of the Rizian-speaking segment of the population, sway them over to our side. I'm going to go with this one. Let's attempt diplomacy. Rento nodded. Very well, Your Majesty. Although the gas fields near dear Elena, mentioned during her briefing, may eventually force us into dealing with the Grand Duke. Yes, explorations are still ongoing, but there's a good indication that both Rizian and Pales could have a claim to the new resource. Shall I continue? Wayland. Of course. Relations with our one-time allies have been turbulent at best since the Civil War. The international unpopularity of current President Viktor Smolak has only complicated matters. Remember him? If you haven't, you should watch seasons 1 and 2 of Suzerain. I'll link to them at the end of the video. Rizia wouldn't be where we are today without Wayland. We can't abandon our partnership. It's not a good look for us to remain linked to them. All I ask is that Wayland returns zeal as promised. After that, I'm happy to cut ties. My father made a deal with Wayland on good faith. Wayland so far has respected that deal. Okay. I want his zeal back. The return is scheduled for the end of 1952, Your Majesty. Wayland's access to Zeal's land and resources helped bring it out of recession after the war. Smolak will have difficulty letting go of such a valuable asset. Can we count on him to honor the terms of the treaty? I think I already know the answer to that. What about the people of Zeal? Surely they can't wait for the land to be returned to Rizia. I will act diplomatically with President Smolak. We can sweeten the deal if necessary. I will appease him until we get Zeal back. What about the people? Half of the country's native Rizian population fled during the Civil War, like the Queen Mother's parents, I recall. Among those who were stubborn enough to stay, opinion is divided. We have to remember that it's been almost 25 years. When's my next diplomatic visit to Wayland? As a matter of fact, you're slated for a trip to Zeal at the end of this year for the second to last Wezek-Rizian Friendship Day. What's that? That name's got to be some kind of joke. We'll try and be a little serious here. Friendship Day is a celebration that's been held in Zeal each year since the treaty was signed. Since Smolak took over, he's used the occasion to trot out all the shiny new tanks Wayland's oil money and United Katana funding has bought him. Your presence will, at the very least, remind him of the occupation's temporary nature. I'm looking forward to it. I see no reason why Rizia and Wayland can't be close again. I'll make him remember by any means necessary. Or I'll talk to him. Maybe we can come to a productive agreement. An admirable impulse, but this is unfortunately only a ceremony, not a diplomatic talk. For now, I propose we move on with the briefing. What about the Empire of Moridia? You want to discuss Morella or Dirtia? We'll go with Dirtia. Ah yes, the only fully Golcondas nation in the world. Our relations with them have become strained since the country's conversion to a theocracy. However, we still maintain a number of cooperative agreements, including our acceptance of Dirtian migrants as labor hands. I must say that their supreme wiseman, Borja Osmal, did not approve of our ban on Golcondas pilgrims to Rizian holy sites. Yes, His Majesty and I discussed that ban prior to our ceremony in Plavo. We did, and it struck me as unfair. The Golcondas are as Ruhist as you or I, except they're wrecking our shit. I trust the Grand Wiseman's decision. As do I. I wonder, though, why has he not put similar restrictions on Dasnurist? They may have strayed, gentlemen, but Golcondas and Dasnurist are both our brethren. I'm merely worried the growing number of Golcondas visitors at sites like Plavo and their rather physical interpretation of our religion were alienating the true Ruhist believers. I will point out that our stance on Dirty and Golcondas is far gentler than Morella's. Oh. Yes, Morella hasn't allowed Dirtians of any kind into the country since the Meftium invasion in 1915, though the Dirtians most certainly have tried. The Golcondas lunatics should stay in their own country. Poor Dirtians, they can't catch a break. We'll go with this one. I sympathize with Morella. Pilgrimages play a significant role in Golcondism, unfortunately, whether the holy sites in Rizia or Morelia, or to the Sordish arch sanctuary of Dire. Which is why the Golcondas bans that have been implemented over the last few decades, including ours, have been met with occasional violent resistance from the Dirtians. Say what you will about Dirtian beliefs, you can't argue with their weaponry. Part of their warrior culture, Duchess. Their practice is centered on martial discipline and physical strength. Frankly, they scare me. Can they be bargained with? Everyone can be bargained with, Your Majesty, like Victor Smolak, Mr. Osmal, may be looking for a way to end his country's geopolitical isolation. As for Morelia, you already heard about their new left-wing ruling coalition, correct? Tell me, because I haven't. I probably did, but, you know. After years of infighting, the country's left-leaning parties miraculously united in time to win this year's election. The politicians who managed this feat is now Morelia's new Prime Minister, Alma Sultana, or as she might prefer it, Comrade Alma Sultana. Hugo grimaced. Lesbia and ATO are enough of a threat without the Malianovists knocking on our back door. Arcasian liberalism is far worse threat to our way of life than Malianovism. Both Arcasian liberals and Malianovists hate everything we stand for. As long as we remain on good terms with Morella, I don't care about the country's political leanings. Their leanings do affect our relationship, Your Majesty. Correct, Elena. Morelia doesn't stand a chance of entering the Cantanan Security Pact, not with its current level of poverty. But there are rumors that Prime Minister Sultana has been arranging meetings with Vogslandian Chancellor Emeric Hegel. What's our relationship with Vogsland? Neutral, at best, Your Majesty. As we all know, House Toras has historical ties to the late Volgos Empire, but Chancellor Hegel isn't exactly brimming with nostalgia for that era. So far, our trade relationship with Morella have not been affected, nor has our partnership in the International Trade Zone. But Morella and Volksland teaming up in that area could potentially be more of a concern than Lesbia. That's everything, isn't it? I hope so. Lorenzo turned away from the map towards me. There's one more country we haven't discussed, Rumburg. There are allies. Yes, how are my in-laws? I always expected Beatrice to turn on me after Lena died. Amazing she stayed allied with us. Please continue. For the moment, Queen Beatrice and her country are firmly allied with Rizia. Miss Werner already mentioned the large amounts of gold we export to the country through their strategic port, Grim. We also have a deal allowing Rumburg ships priority access to our ports in Porte Drazon and Monkeys. We are, in essence, their gateway to the Antacean Sea. Militarily speaking, the alliance doesn't amount to much. Rumburg will supply us with arms in case of war, but neither of our countries is officially obliged to come to the other's aid. I've heard that Rumburg has been getting closer to Arcasia. Rumburg want anything else from us? Maybe not from us, but the country's energy needs are insatiable. Queen's interested in any country with oil or natural gas reserves. In other words, if we do start drilling in that new oil field off Ailes, I expect Her Excellency will come calling. Becoming one of Rumburg's main energy suppliers would definitely strengthen our partnership. Probably should have read the other two, but a little late. It would. Whether that's a good or bad in the eyes of the international community is another question. I will remind the Council of our prior conversation regarding ATO and the necessity of strengthening our bonds with other monarchies, especially Rumburg. Thanks for pointing that out, Hugo. Fortunately, we have living evidence of that bond right here at this table. All eyes turned to Vina. She looked up from the note she'd been taking. Yeah, don't worry, Aunt B will still dote on me. I'm like the daughter she never had. Good. See to it that you remain in Her Excellency's good graces. She's a human being, Uncle Hugo, not a diplomatic tool. But she kinda could be. Queen is still fond of me as well. She knows how much I loved my Lena. The queen still holds me in her affection. She is aware of the love I harbored for Lena, love that transcends even her passing. You heard him, Vina. Maybe it's time we arrange a visit with dear Aunt B. I'm not going to go that far. I'll go with number 3. Maybe it's time we both arranged a visit with Aunt B. Hugo glanced at the clock. Was that all from you, Mr. Esquipple? I did have one more proposition before we adjourn. I was quite fond of the princess' suggestion that we increase Rizian soft power outside of our borders. So was I, actually. We may be on the same page. We have also spoken of the need to stoke pro-Rizian sympathies in both Zeal and Pales. I would therefore suggest funding branches of the Toras Association in both these regions. What's this? Nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of Rizian language and culture abroad. Okay. What else does ATA do? What does my great-great-grandmother have to do with anything? I'm familiar with the Ariana Torres Association. You really think it would be useful in those regions? No. I already know I'm not interested. And I already know what the ATA does, because I just kind of glanced at it. Oh, undoubtedly. I myself volunteered with the ATA as an ambassador for time. I can vouch for its integrity. How do you think it would be helpful in Zeal? Why would there be a need for it in Pales? I can see the use of such a program, but wouldn't it be costly? Good question. Expanding the ATA to both Zeal and Pales would indeed eat into our budget. I like the idea. It could even give us an edge in upcoming trade deals, but if you want to be frugal, I would choose between the two regions. There's no need for frugality. But there kind of is. But this is kind of important, too. Here's one of those calls that I'm going to have to make that could send us into a spiral or shoot us into the stratosphere like a rocket. Well, Zeal is going to be coming back to us anyway. I'm going to go with both. Let's splurge. I heard a sharp intake of breath from Elena. Very well, Your Majesty. I'll allocate the funds. Thank you for the idea, Vina. Queen Liza would be proud. Thanks for listening, everyone. I do hope I haven't been too much of a bore. I don't know, you guys tell me, was he boring? Not at all, Mr. Squibble. I've always enjoyed sharing your expertise. Try and make the next meeting a little more snappy. Anytime, Your Majesty. He rolled the map back up and collected his belongings. I walked out of the chamber, glad to be done for the day. Alright, so our budget's down to 2, so that dam's gonna have to wait. Let's see. Worsening housing crisis. An acute housing crisis grips the nation, characterized by unaffordable prices and a dire shortage of reasonable housing options. Not good. Situations. ATA operates in Pales, and ATA operates in Zeal. Okay. got trade talks now. Rufus Gragg's royal gossip. Ball season begins. As palaces in Rizia began throwing open their doors for glamorous feats, there's one question on everyone's lips. Where is Princess Vina? Beautiful, well-mannered, and in the prime of her life, the young heiress should be a fixture at these events. But it seems King Romus would rather keep his daughter by his side than show her off to the world, even going so far as to drag her along to his council meetings. She wanted to go, you prick. The princess has a right to attend council meetings, of course, but it's also our right to see her in poofy gowns. Hey, perv. Non-aligned movement in a group grows. Amid escalating tensions between the world's superpowers, a significant non-aligned movement within the Alliance of Nations is gaining traction. Discontented by the hostile actions from both blocs, this group adopting strategies akin to Kroot, declared a balanced stance towards both superpowers and openly invites trade partnerships. This trend, reflective of a geopolitical strategy focusing on neutrality and economic pragmatism, signals a potential shift in the international arena. These nations, by choosing not to align with either superpower, are positioning themselves as pivotal players in the global diplomacy, potentially influencing major decisions and maintaining their sovereignty in a polarized world. In the southern region of Xena, the Confederacy of Vendanazam is grappling with a wave of democratic movement challenging its long-standing monarch rule. That's not good. Key states within the Confederacy, including the Sultanate of Ragkara, the Holy Isles of Penguvi, and the Duchy of Tamarin, are facing heightened instability. Suspicions arise that external forces from Arcasia and United Cantana are backing these movements, further complicating the political landscape. The Confederate Council, led by Prince Consort Kaban Sang, Tam, is actively countering this tide with increased mobilization of pro-monarchist troops and intensified intelligence operations. These measures are aimed at suppressing the growing democratic fervor that is leading to escalating conflicts across both urban and rural areas. Let's just read the reports here. A machine at the Fulse Data Rifle plant has experienced a malfunction, stalling weapons productions for the next week. Cause is being looked into, but the plant manager indicates that due to the ongoing labor shortage, fewer workers have been overseeing production at the plant, leading to more potential human error. Oh, there's something way down here. Excavation promises touristic and cultural renaissance. It's where we're digging up an old city. Recent uncovering of a vast resident city near Topes is poised to become a beacon of cultural tourism, with experts proposing it for designation as an Alliance of Nations heritage site. Anticipation to draw visitors globally, site's potential excavation and restoration offers a glimpse into a historic reawakening that could transform local heritage into a shared global legacy. All right. Anything on the world map? Now, what do we have here? Let's read the report. British President Ewald Afonso will be arriving in Porte Drazan on Monday in lieu of the Vice President. He will be accompanied by his Development Minister Gus Manger. As this is Swordland's first visit to Rizia in many years, A morning of diplomatic ceremonies at Palace Resna has been planned, followed by talks in the afternoon and a banquet in the evening. Sounds like fun. Should Treasury Secretary Lena Werner be present for the upcoming Swordfish trade talks? Why not? Swordfish delegation is expected to bring up the reopening of Swordfish Rizian trade relations during their upcoming visit. While Treasury Counselor, Elena Werner would normally be present for such a discussion, Development Minister Gus Manger has requested to speak to the king alone. It's coming. Suck it, Gus. Country relationship updated. Neutral. Okay. Sorry about that. And it didn't work. Uh-oh. Open city information. Alright. The important field will run out if no action regarding expansion is taken. Uh-oh. We got some problems, I'd say. We've also got some more royal decrees. Let's, see what they are. Remove the Galcondis blasphemy. No. Permanent workers permit for labor hands. Not right now. Wait a minute. Now, this could, I mean, we got a labor shortage. Expansion of Esquires offshore gas field. Well, I did say I'd make a decision by the end of the, Why I can't do it. Sell. Insufficient aircraft. We have 3 on the energy. Plus 2 on the budget. -2 on the energy, plus 1 on the budget. -2 on authority, -5 on it. Yeah, I'm not doing that. We'll go with the second one. Sell some more. All right. Check this out here. The iconic Esquires gas field, a beacon of Rizia's energy prowess since 1921, is sending distress signals. Recent reports indicate dwindling reserves at an alarming rate. While it has been a consistent contributor to Rizia's energy matrix, its operational future now seems precarious. Without immediate and targeted surveys followed by potential offshore excavation, the gas field is projected to cease operation in the coming years. Not good. We will find a solution by decree. Small third global energy sale. Hang on. Expansion of the global. We could actually do this. It'd wipe us out, though. We're not going to have a budget, but here we go. Expand that oil field. I mean the gas field. All right. So that's what that is there. Now we've got the gas field expansion. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Not bad. We did spend our entire budget. I expanded the gas field. At some point, I do plan on using the suggestion left to build the hydroelectric dam. Once we get more budget to work with, I will for sure do that. It seems like our non-renewable energy resources are starting to run out, so we may have to look in other directions. Have King Toras go kind of green on us. But that'll be for a future episode. Anyway, if you like this one, hit the like button. If you have any thoughts, tips, or advice, leave those in the comment section down below. If you want to follow along as we play through Suzerain Rizia, hit the subscribe, and you can come along with us. It's been a fun ride so far. So, J76NY saying thank you very much for watching, and have yourself a very good day.